Hello, welcome or welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz, and I will be guiding you on this journey today. This is the reading for the 6-3 Human Design Profile. We have the Devil card, interesting. We're not taking cards right now. I'm just doing a little shuffle, a little wakey, even though it's noon. Anyway, this is the reading for the 6-3 Human Design Profile. If you don't know what your Human Design Profile is, there's a link in the description below for you to get your Human Design Body Graph. And one of the bits of information on there will be your profile. So definitely be sure to check out your zodiac sign reading, like your rising, your sun, anywhere you have like major placements that you care about, that you know about. Anyway, because like not every Scorpio is a 6-3 or a 5-1 or whatever, right? So it's just an additional avenue of information. So let's get you an oracle card here. We have the Whisperer. The Whisperer. I literally thought it said the Whisperer, like the horse whisperer, That is so funny, huh? Because, have you seen that movie? But, like he's considered to just have an affinity for like training horses and just, a connection. Even that movie, we have the Seven of Wands. That movie, Temple Grandin. Have you seen that? Where she just like she has this affinity for cows. Okay, I'm not taking those because that was my fault. But she has an affinity for cows, and she comes up with this process that's more humane for cows, cattle. We have the Empress. Anyway, I don't know. It's just kind of funny that I saw it that way when really it just says the Whisper, which also, it feels like a calling, hearing the whispers of something. Like, no doubt you probably feel that there's change in the air. I think a lot of us feel that way. And I think it's also too, like, there has to be some kind of change, right? Like, we just can't keep going the same way that, we have been. We have the Moon. We have the Seven of Swords under the Seven of Wands, which is interesting. Double sevens. That was the Seven of Cups that flipped over, but we don't take the cards that flip. We only take the cards that come out because we want commitment. Five of Pentacles under the Empress. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles that came out in the reverse. I don't shuffle reversals into my decks, but of course, like if they come out reversed, I keep them that way. And then we have the High Priest at the bottom of the deck, who is the Hierophant. We have the Justice card. We have the Nine of Pentacles. Interesting. So let's see what this Whisper card is talking about. All right. So it says, there's a voice within all of us, reminding us what we're here to do, guiding us down the path we're meant to follow. For some of us, that voice is loud. For others, it's a tiny whisper that we can barely hear above others. Rest assured, that voice is always there, however faint. Taking time to listen will allow its insights to grow louder. The answers you seek are already within you. Tune the world out around you and listen within. Your heart knows the way. Like an ability or a muscle, hearing your inner wisdom is strengthened by doing it. Yeah, it also feels, of course, since we're talking human design, it also definitely feels like very strategy and authority. So, it could even be getting a bit more familiar, a bit more comfortable, experimenting more with your strategy and authority, because truly, our strategy and authority is designed to help us enter into the correct experiences quote unquote correct experiences. And then our profile is how we interact with the energies, the people, the vibe of those experiences. So again, it could be that. It could, of course, be a thing about really listening to your own intuition, which arguably could be a little strategy and authority too, but I'm just kind of switching up terms here. But yeah, I mean, let's just start talking about your reading. So we start with the 7 of Wands. And it's interesting because this wand is broken, right? Like, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. I just realized that in the last reading I did, I forgot to do something I said I was going to do. So I just wanted to. Anyway, I'm curious what the book says about, this book has little keywords, which I love. I love little keywords. New challenge, navigating the unknown. Can you see? I don't know why I'm struggling with everything. Sorry. So new challenge, navigating the unknown, starting over, recalling basics. After much deliberation, the traveler did something no one expected. They destroyed the remaining wands. The traveler knew the power would once again fall into the wrong hands, but also knew the true magic comes from within humans, not from the wands. Which is a little confusing if, it seems like there's this storyline that's like kind of going through the suit of wands, which is great. However, we're, like we just read that and it sounds like it was like right in the middle of a story that nobody really knows about. So anyway, generally the 7 of Wands talks about standing your ground, being defensive. Wands have to do with action. It's the motivation behind the actions that we take. Passion, creativity, communicating those things. What actions are you taking towards those things? I also see wands as information by way of experience, because that's what we get by trying things. We figure out what works. We figure out what doesn't work. What do we like? What don't we like? And truly, the only way to discover those things is by doing, which you're a third line, right? I mean, and depending on how old you are, you could be living life as a 3-3 if you haven't had your Saturn return yet, because the 6th line acts as a third line for the first 30 years. And then it changes, it evolves into that 6th line once you're on the roof. And then, of course, after the age of 50, you come off the roof, your full role model self. So, right, like being a 3-3, that could be pretty chaotic. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of making and breaking bonds. It's a lot of even doing shit that people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you just did that, right? Like just very unexpected, but you were like, I had to try it to see if it worked. So again, it could even be defending your actions. This is like one of those cards of like, can't nobody tell you what to do? It's like, I heard this, I don't know. Oh my gosh, I think I was like watching 2020 because I'm like a true crime freak. But this lady was describing her daughter as like, just very independent. And she was like, I told her, I don't know, something was hot or not to touch it with her hand, like whatever it was. She's like, don't you dare touch that with your hand. And so she was like, she didn't touch it with her hand. She touched it with her foot. And I just I had to laugh to myself because I was like, I know that girl has a third line somewhere. Because I feel like you can't really tell a third line anything, because it's like, you have to learn by experience. You just do. And I mean, I know like a lot of us are that way, but third lines especially, right? Because it is part of your karma. It's part of your design. So anyway, again, 7 of Wands, and it's at the beginning of the reading. So, I mean, you could be being a little stubborn in a certain capacity too. I mean, this can also come across as arrogance. So, just be sure too that, you're kind of towing the line, there, at least like kind of keeping an open mind in some aspects. Not being so defensive that you're like immobile, or, of course, like kind of going into the stubborn realm or even arrogance, kind of realm. But it's also paired with the Seven of Swords. So swords have to do with our mind, our thoughts, ideas, our beliefs, how we communicate those things. Swords are also divine truth and honesty, like objective truth. I see swords as being the suit of ego also, because that's generally where we hear our ego, is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, to feelings, to people, right? And it becomes a reason why we do things and why we don't do things. We have this, we receive information, which can also be wands, right? We receive information. It goes through the filter of our ego, and then it kicks out some perception of our reality based on what our stories are. So with all of that being said, the Seven of Swords, there's a couple different ways that this can go, okay? The Seven of Swords does talk about manipulation, trickery, like low vibe manipulation type of thing, because traditionally we have this, like on the traditional Seven of Swords illustration, there's a person that's carrying all these swords, and they're like tiptoeing out of a camp. And the message behind that is that they are purposefully handicapping their opponent. They're manipulating the stakes, because if they don't have the proper tools to fight with, then they're already, they already lost. So again, it is manipulation. I see the Seven of Swords also as being the card of us fooling ourselves. It could be self-sabotage, because those little gremlins, those stories, that ego thing that we all have gets in the way, and it starts saying, we don't do that because, or I can't do that because of something from the past, some story that we clung to or developed in our past, and it prevents us from doing things. It even also puts us in this, this energy of either being stubborn or being arrogant or immobile in some capacity. And especially too, like, because we're we have two sevens here. We have the Seven of Wands. That was even talking about, doing something unexpected. And it's kind of like, what is the energy behind it? Like, what is your intention behind it? So just even get clear with that, because it's one thing to have an intention of pushing past your self-sabotage, pushing past your story. It's another thing to do it in a way of manipulation. It really kind of feels this like ebb and flow of like, trying to honor that whisper, like trying to, at least hear it. But then, it was even talking about the other voices that are pretty loud. This is the loud voices. That's, all those things that come up, like I said, that you can't, you shouldn't, you won't, you, whatever reason, like kind of keeps you in a box or keeps you comfortable. But then we have the Empress. Sorry, it is so windy out here. We have the Empress, who is Venus, who is Taurus and Libra. Venus is in Taurus right now. So maybe you are experiencing some Venusian something in wherever Taurus falls for you. But we can see that, she's floating above her throne. The Empress is the divine feminine, not the gender, but just the energy. It's going with the flow, receiving, right? Which is also very strategy and authority-ish. Like, manifestors are the only ones that initiate. Once, depending on what authority they have, they can initiate as soon as that energy is available. The rest of us, we either have to wait for the invitation, we have to wait to respond, or we have to wait a lunar cycle, depending on, where that falls for you. But again, it is receiving. It's waiting for something to show up versus creating it, which is, even creation is a thing too, because it is the Empress. She is generally pregnant, but it talks about fertility of opportunities. It's reproducing something, like reproducing abundance, reproducing, opportunities in your life, which is creation, right? So actually, I ended up getting a call that I needed to take, and then my ADHD had me hyperfixated on like something else, and then I realized I didn't even finish your reading yet. So that's just kind of funny. Oh, and I just got that, like, when you get that zap in your side? The hell was that? Okay, I know we left off with the Empress card. I want to, like, this book, I don't know if I actually already said it, but it has little keywords. Yeah, I did. I read it, I think, for the Seven of Wands and maybe the Seven of Swords. But it says femininity, abundance, fertility, natural power. The Empress floats above her throne in harmony with the surrounding world, symbolizing her fertility and natural power. At the foot of her throne is a shield with a sigil for Venus. The Empress is connected to the divine feminine and in turn is connected to the earth itself. It's interesting because, the Empress does have this very, empowering energy to it. Like, to me, it is like calling back your energy. So even since it's a 3, it's almost also 2 about it, because it is like closer to the beginning of the Fool's journey. It's even recognizing that power within you, even recognizing like the gifts that you have received, where in your life, things are blooming even. It's interesting that it is paired with the 5 of Pentacles. This card talks about being at like literal rock bottom. This is the bottom of the sea, basically, and there's this fault line going through there that cracked this rock open. Pentacles have to do with our money, how we get it, how we save it, how we spend it. It's our time. What do we spend our time doing? Where are we physically showing up in our lives? It's also our health. Anything that we place value and worth on, our possessions, materials, resources, right? All of those things. And it's interesting because like we have these, like the 7 of Wands paired with the 7 of Swords, the Empress paired with the 5 of Pentacles. We have the Moon paired with the Ace of Pentacles that's in the reverse. So it's like, I think I might have already said this too, a little while ago now, but it's like this roller coaster thing of, maybe I didn't say that during this reading, but it does feel like this like roller coaster type of thing. And maybe it's like one of those things where you're like throwing noodles against the wall to see what sticks, like maybe you are, or you have tried a bunch of things. Maybe you are, just trying to really hone in on your power, on your authenticity. But then, on the bottom row, maybe it just hasn't gone the way that you expected it to, or the results weren't what you had in mind. Because it's also interesting with the Whisper card coming out, the Whisperer card coming out, because that does talk about, right, like getting quiet enough to hear it. Taking time to listen will allow insights to grow louder. The answers you seek are already within you. Tune the world around you out and listen within. Your heart knows the way. The Empress paired with the 5 of Pentacles could be like a concern. Because like I said, right, this 5 of Pentacles specifically talks about rock bottom. But the Five of Pentacles talks about lack, scarcity, insecurity, rock bottom, under pressure, holding a burden. At the bottom of the sea, 5 stones sit on a deep fault line. These sunken stones at rock bottom feel the pressure of the sea from above. They attempt to hold themselves together as an earthquake rips the seabed apart. No longer able to hold the weight of the sea, they crack under pressure. Because it almost kind of seems like these cards, and I wish I had the overhead view this time, but I think I mentioned in last month's readings that I use my table for like freelance work too, so it's a mess of stuff. And I have like things kind of pushed. I made a little bit of room. You guys don't need to see all that. But because it's interesting, like the top row is either stuff that you have tried, are trying, hoping for, looking to do, it could even be the advice, of course, that's being offered by the tarot. And then the bottom row is like how you feel it's going or your perception of how it's going. It could be that. Because like I said, right, there's these cards on the top that are seemingly, genuinely, or generally positive. And then on the bottom, there's less. They're not as savory, if you will. I keep looking at this Empress's head. Is that a tree? It looks like a tree. And like the bottom, the 2 roots. That's kind of how it looks like to me. I've seen this Empress card a couple times throughout these readings, and it hasn't jumped out at me thus far. Because, to me, I feel like it is the beginning stages of planting roots, because there's 2 roots there by the looks of it. So maybe it's a thing where like you don't feel quite stable yet. There's a concern that there's going to be lack in some capacity. Although, this stone cracking open here, it's showing like this geode type of thing, right? So it's like, even if you feel like you're being cracked open, there's something to be discovered there. There's beauty to be found there. And unfortunately, even the birthing process with the Empress, whether you have been through the birthing process or not, I think we all know that it is powerful, but it is also really hard, like for both parties, obviously for the woman who is the one giving birth, but also us, coming out of the canal, or if we're C-section babies being pulled out from our womb, and now all of a sudden we're in this world and we have to breathe on our own. We have to rely on somebody else to keep us alive, right? So that's even interesting. So again, it's this whole thing about if you feel like you are being cracked open, it could even be for you to listen to yourself, like to hear the whisper. We have the Moon card. The Moon is associated to Cancer or Pisces, depending on who you ask. It says masking fears, illumination, that which is hidden, obscurity. In the dark of night, the moon lights up a pitch black sky. The moon speaks to what is hidden. Much like the high priestess, the moon is controlled by the subconscious mind. The moon can mask our fears and hide our feelings, but keeping these things hidden in the darkness will only cause them to grow in the night. This time around, the fool must learn to let everything be seen for what it truly is. Yeah. Stop hiding, like go for it, allow yourself to be seen in whatever, capacity that is. Don't be afraid of making quote unquote mistakes. Try things, Listen to this whisper, even if it doesn't make logical sense. If it feels good, truly though, right? Like if it truly feels good, if it's safe to do, obviously don't harm yourself or others. Your strategy and authority would never, I don't think, put you in that type of position. But also, the moon, anytime the moon shows up, wherever it shows up, it tells me that the outcome or the result or even the unfolding of the thing is probably not going to be in the way that you expected. Like, it's like all of the information isn't available yet. There's things that are yet to be discovered, of course, because it does talk about things that are hidden. The moon in astrology is about our emotions. So, even regardless of if you are emotionally defined or not. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. This book also has reversed meanings: missed opportunity, failure to launch, expectations not met, lack of planning. Upright, it says creation, manifestation, new opportunity, increasing interest. It really kind of seems like there is a choice here. There definitely is a choice here. However, as I'm like sitting with it, I'm hearing that, again, like I was literally just saying, the outcome, the result, the unfolding, however this goes, is probably not going to be in a way that you could have imagined with the Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. I mean, I'm one of those believers that we don't miss an opportunity that is meant for us. But if we are in a certain mindset, if we are in a certain ego story, we might not see it. That doesn't mean that it's missed. Because, again, if it's an opportunity that's for you, it'll be there, just waiting, just waiting for you to get out of the story, get out of your head too. I mean, in the realm of human design, we don't make decisions from our head or from we don't make decisions from pressure centers in general, which is the head center. So we have the High Priest at the bottom of the deck, which is the Hierophant, and then Justice, and then the Nine of Pentacles. So the Hierophant talks about spirituality, faith. It's, traditional teaching. So passing along knowledge, it could be school. Like that's what happens, right? A teacher teaches a subject. We learn from the teacher because they have knowledge in it. It could be training for a new position. There could be a mentor. It's interesting because it's almost kind of like, we come up to this person as part of the path because this path goes behind them. So there might be a decision that you have to make. Again, you could be meeting a mentor or a coach or something that could help you. You could even become that. Either way, we have the Justice card, which is Libra. Hierophant is Taurus. The Empress is Venus. Venus is in Taurus right now. Wherever Taurus is for you. The South Node is in Libra right now. So you could be learning some lessons regarding what area of life Libra occupies in your chart. I cannot talk all of a sudden. But this talks about the scales balancing, fairness, fate, karma. It's interesting because they were flying above the waterfall. So it almost feels like avoiding tumultuous, emotions in some capacity, because water emotions. Flying above it, having a bird's eye view even. So again, this could be marriage or divorce. It could be, criminal justice in some capacity. Because this could, of course, be court, law enforcement in some capacity. It could be a contract, which is also very Hierophant also. Just be sure that you are triple reading any type of contracts. I know we're not like in Mercury retrograde right now, but it's always a good idea to look at them a couple times. And then we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is individual success, financial freedom, building. Again, even, with this Ace of Pentacles in the reverse, it's like I was saying, an opportunity that's meant for you is not going to miss you. But you could make yourself feel like you don't deserve it, or you could make yourself feel like it's not the right opportunity. That could come out of fear or self-sabotage, or this feeling of lack. Maybe you feel like you don't have the skill set, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the experience. That's BS. You'll get it, Nobody is born with the experience. We learn it. So go for it. Figure it out. I know you will. Listen to that whisper. Okay? I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for going on this journey with me, because I know it's been a ride and I appreciate reading your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.